When I took over this position to lead the university, one of my priorities was to include the idea of artistic research within this institution, and that goes for both dance and circus. So we started out in 2007 with a close encounter in choreography, where we invited a lot of choreographers from different countries to come and share the processes according to the idea of research in the art of choreography. So after 2007 and the close encounters in choreography, we start immediately to process the ideas of how to step further and include circus. The first close encounters in choreography, we just had one choreographer that had dealt with circus. So we had some problems in reaching the artist from the circus field by the time. CARD has a slightly different approach than the first close encounter because it's more including not just the very advanced artists, but also the students, the people in other close professions. So. But still, the main focus is on the artist's need of research. Today we have a bachelor degree in circus. My goal would be that within 2-3 years we will also have a master. And going for a master means going for research preparations. And we also, in the opening now for the new National Research School in the Arts, we include circus. So if we now invite advanced artists to conduct research in the art in relation to the new research school, we lack. There's a gap in between the bachelor. We need to get further with expanding the circus body of this institution. I think this way of sharing, not just watching performances, because I go around Europe and watch performances in circus, but also to share, to discuss, to talk, to get to know more about working methods and ideas behind the work and longings, the needs and so forth. That I will bring with me as something very important for me to hopefully do a better job here.
Okay.
Two minutes left, don't forget the arms and the hands.
But we need to know what we're talking about. If we introduce this research word, we need to know what it is, because there are people that say, here is my performance, it is complete in itself, it cannot be spoken about, and it's research. And that is historically practice that now is suddenly being practiced with a claim towards research. That is a bit more tricky, I think, because the requirements of research is it can be evaluated, it can be accessed, it can be disseminated, all those things. And if one refuses all that and says, no, my dance or my sculpture, whatever it is complete in itself. It's a masterful expression of practice and it's research. Then you're into a very interesting discussion about what are the boundaries between practice and research. It's very much being debated, and there are very strong opinions on all sides. It's under formation right now, and it's through events like this that people will be part of that establishing value, and priorities. So.
Okay, thank you.
At some point, or someone asks a question that goes in that direction. Why do we want to do this? Probably the people that is doing paracromatics will understand what is a staff. The people that know Saku, a classmate of us, might understand why we call it Saku.
Not for everybody and it's not for the audience. And our main goal, this we will come later, is to communicate to the audience.
That way, like to discussing and arguing by arguing. Okay? Another person will see another one, and we are not trying even to control it.
Give a meaning to what is seen, because we relate to things to our experience.
Like a lot of the experience of the other person that will interpret it. They don't exist. That's kind of, for us, a bit...
And Mexico,
yeah.
You're a juggler, and if you want to be sad or
Francesca is coming towards me.
in a situation of being open to what we need. And it's also a good example to tell paracrobatic is for us a language, because we have been practicing for long with it, but it's not for everybody and it's not for the audience. And our main goal, this we will come later, is to communicate to the audience something and to exchange with the audience something. So this, that's for us is a language, needs to become a language for the audience. But we'll see after if we manage to explain how.
How and what for circus artists work with one very specific narrative. With this narrative that I am proposing to you, the story can be summarized in a few words. In some place, quite soon, circus artists and researchers, scientists need to define very practically the objectives, the means, the arguments of a European institute dedicated to circus research.
My question coming into this conference is, because I feel like the word artistic research and what it means is being forced and imposed on the circus community that I belong to, and I don't understand necessarily who's imposing it or why would it actually benefit the community or the questions of the community that I feel like I belong to. So I have the Swedish community mostly. I don't understand actually how it will benefit us. Of course it will, like any change or any new money or new funding, or yes, we can justify it by yes, there might be a research and so on. But we're actually changing the way we're talking. We're actually forcing the questions that Francesca and Celso have in their daily lives into a format of university talk and into sitting on our asses, and we're changing the way we're discussing the questions. And so all of a sudden the question jumped from, should I help this movement of using artistic research talk, to should we have an institute? about it or not. And for me, it's such a big jump that in one way, yes, if I could control it, so it's about my questions, great, let's have an institute. But I just want to make the marker that this isn't our language. So just be really careful about taking the candy just because the people are offering it. Because I actually think that there might be a problem, that it might change our art form. And that the question that Francesca posed is, yes, but, and I want to hear your answer after the discussions also about, you have gone this path.
No, I do.
Has it made the art form better? But maybe after the discussion.
I do agree. I don't have an answer. It's my question.
Yeah.
It is my question. And, or, is it a good idea? Is it a totally false idea? Fake idea? If it's fake, if it's wrong, if it's anti-Cirkus, what is the good idea then? That's my question for this afternoon.
We'll continue discussing these questions in the workshop. Thank you very much, Michel.
You can be good at throwing yourself out from high heights, but scared of standing in front of a group of people talking. You can be brilliant in taking economical risks, artistic risks, strategical risks, but terrified of saying, I love you. I am a circus director who is sort of scared of everything.
What is important is that the artists from all fields, but of course the circus is my heart, that they find their place and take their space and place here, and also are there to create what this space and place could be, so it can become ours. Because if we have artistic research without the real artists, the ones who is dealing with it, or it becomes academic, or if you go through the school and then you start research, it needs to be the people who are out in the world creating and working that is doing the research, I hope. When I've done my research and talked so much with circus artists, when I find out, it has been a parallel process that I asking them questions that make them start to understand what they are doing. And we are a young art form in one way. Of course we are not, but and that is so much knowledge that needs to be spread and between the art to develop the art circus and also to the world, I think.
To express what we want to speak about or to turn the question in a manner that applies to us personally.
If we have a language problem, we don't have a common language and we speak with different languages.
When you take away the discipline, you take away the unicycle, the teapot, you strip everything away.
You make a joke or you laugh or you play with the audience because of your own insecurity. I mean, we became insecure.
So with what codes could we try to communicate?
I try to research in some direction. For instance, with Kim Kaha, it was different sacred texts, different texts on war. And then I look for some counter element that's going to screw me up and send me off away from, send me into the dark. And that was George Bataille's text on the erotic body. And once I touched this text, I was suddenly, the eroticism of war and the eroticism of the sacred. And that was my interference. After we send it to the artist, and there's a pure level, I'll define one dramaturgical level right away, which Jean-Michel, I think it was even you who asked me once, what is the dramaturgy what is my circus dramaturgy? And the circus dramaturgy, it's pretty simple. It's how do we get the trapeze in, and how do we get the rope out? And when can he walk on his slack rope? At what moment? It's as simple as that. So it's not a very artistic level, and it has to be there because there's an elegance of the way things move and appear and disappear. So there's the circus is a mere interference. It causes us problems. It's there before even the themes are because of the way I work really, even though I change groups, it takes me a long time to work with people. So I'll work a year with people before we rehearse the show, before we start rehearsal. So we're trying to find times, or I invite them on a gig, or they invite me to their gig. It's like, how can we understand each other? And so I've already chosen, for arbitrary reasons, which happen to be kind of love-based, like there's some connection between us, I'm going to work with you. I don't care if you're a trapezist or a singer or a clown. I want to work with you. You're the person. So then I have a collection of circus possibilities that are not connected to any super idea that I had. It's just that those are the people and I have to fit them in.
Le téléphone sonne, je monte Thomas et ça justifie le fait de répondre au téléphone, le fait que je fasse des mains.
So for instance, how can we tell something beyond the beauty without, for instance, putting a telephone onto the Chinese pole, go up the pole and pick up the phone?
Le style le meilleur pour le raconter.
In theatre, it's more simple. You have a story, for instance, Hamlet or Antigone, and you have a theatrical motor. So the story acts as a motor for the piece, and that's the question in theatre. The motor is what you want, the story you want to tell, and that also decides the style. So according to the story you want to tell, you choose an appropriate style. And that could be a burlesque play or a comedy or another genre.
Et au cirque, ça se complique un peu. Premièrement parce qu'il y a un agrès. Et si je veux aller au-delà de la recherche physique, il y a plein de questions qui se posent. Je sais qu'il y a une relation beaucoup plus évidente entre le cirque et la danse parce que tous les deux proposent un langage qui est abstrait.
In circus, it's a bit more complicated. First of all, there's the equipment. So the question is how to work with equipment and go beyond the physique, go on beyond the physical part. That's a question in circus. And obviously, there's a more close relation between circus and dance, because both of them work with abstract languages.
I'm going to introduce my introduction. The introduction today is what is psychoanalysis. I feel I need to just introduce my introduction. I did a workshop with someone recently about this strange place that I'm in, an artist coming to be in the academy, and I said, who am I going to be on Saturday at Card? I don't know whether to be the artist, I don't know whether to be an academic, or... And she went, well, what kind of walk is your what walk is a circus artist? She went, what word? I went, buttocks. And we developed that walk, and so the dance for me as a circus artist ended up being that. And then she said, well, okay, what about the academic? She's like, here. What kind of walk is that? And we developed that, and the dance that came out of that was this. He's an academic. And so she said, what would be the thing in between that you're going to present a card in that case? What would the walk or the dance be for that? And I went, kind of, that. So I'm not really getting anywhere, but it's kind of fun. So that's who I'm going to be today. So there will be a chunk of theory, and the rope is there just to remind everyone that's kind of what I do, that's what I have done. If I feel like it, I'll get up it, if not, I won't. So part of this is going to be head, and part of this is going to be heart. And if sometimes it comes across as a manifesto, it's there to be disagreed with. So my self-analysis is also about my own analytical journey to see where I am stuck in an ideology that I believe I'm authentic, but actually I'm not authentic at all, I'm just doing what I've been told, but I've forgotten that I was told that. I now think it's mine. Yeah? So that's the first task of psychoanalysis. It's to ask the artist whether their agenda is the same as the agenda of this universal construct called circus, or the market indeed, or the university. And it's to introduce a little bit of a critical gap between the two, because they may not be the same. We might assume that they're the same. We walk into a circus school, teach me circus, make me a circus artist. What does that mean? Which circus? What circus? So it's allowing that little space for reflection. Sit back and think. Do you really want to do the type of circus that you were being trained to do?
I think it's absolutely amazing opportunity for people of all different backgrounds to try and find a common language, so that academics must start speaking in a way that can be practical and practically usable by the people that perhaps they are studying or theorising about, and vice versa, giving circus artists an opportunity to practice being articulate in a safe environment, and to, yes, that meeting of people from different worlds, keeping the antagonisms alive between various theoretical standpoints and backgrounds, not always agreeing, always coming up with more questions. Circus should move away from the intimate toward the social. That idea was confirmed for me here, and I will take away like a lot of energy, like voltage from this conference.
We are talking about money. We ask for money from the institutions to support Circus, and actually Circus has been usually getting the support from the audience.
I disagree from this point on already. We were not in agreement. So in this sense, I don't feel that the audience ever paid for my work. I've been only funded by the government.
My aim is to create the forum for reflection, since I think that the circus arts really need to establish itself as a reflective art form in order to be able to defend its right as an art form. And the university's aim, and also mine, of course, is to start to discuss what is artistic research in circus and what do we need it for.
Well, I think the purpose of the University of Dance and Circus is to create a platform for artistic research in circus. I mean, artistic research is relatively established in dance, and a bit established in circus, but there's a huge need for it.
I've had this list of topics that I wish to be raised, and I've been like, check, check, check. So that's the biggest reward for me, that questions like social awareness has been raised, and relationship to the audience, just having people starting to define themselves as artists, because we are circus artists, and we always have an object, almost, if I generalize, we always have an object. We are climbing a rope, or we are throwing clubs in the air. But I think that my hope is that now I will be political, but I think that circus artists really need to define themselves as an artist in first place, and then relate to the object. And I think that this event is doing that.
All of the above, and just also right now they're wow, I really think you can
What is your
Excellent, all right.